Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Historical
Oh,
properties and the oldest pub in England. Let's get...
Hi guys. I have seen a Cotswold video before. And it was completely amazing, and I guess the only fairy tale like, okay, deserved of that. I can't speak words right now. Can we just watch, please? Please. Memory Seekers. Original link to the video, top description. Discord, below that.
Get started right here in Castlecombe. We're in the Cotswolds.
Those roofs have got to be really heavy because there's no way that shingling is I'm in frame. My hair always gets so frickin' poofy. I don't care. Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Oh, you will? It's great.
The Cotswolds is an expanse of sloping green hills and ancient picturesque towns and villages 2 hours west of London. It is designated an area of outstanding natural beauty, and its quintessentially English charm spans 6 counties, predominantly Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire. The tiny village of Castlecombe is our first stop, and it has been called the prettiest village in England. Fairy tale cottages, a parish church, and a few pubs adorn this sleepy village, frozen in time and unchanged since the 1600s. The honey-coloured limestone brickwork, synonymous with the Cotswolds, give a warming glow even on a cloudy day. As with many villages, parking is restricted, and you'll need to use the free car park at the top of the village and walk down, or try your luck with a few roadside spaces a little closer.
I have to go here. When I go back to England, this is like top of my list. I need to look at what castles are nearby. Well, that is driving distance, but I mean it's England. The whole place is driving distance, right? Yeah. So that's number 1.
The focal point of the village, the 14th century medieval Market Cross monument, was sadly boarded up for repairs, but you might recognise this area as used in Steven Spielberg's 2010 film War Horse. Another notable movie filmed in the village was the 1967 hit Dr. Dolittle with Rex Harrison. St Andrew's Parish Church is a Grade 1 listed building, and typical of village churches built around the 13th century. The medieval clock is one of the oldest in the country. Most of the building has been replaced or restored over the years to the same design, but the tower is still the original 15th century structure. The village takes its name from the 12th century castle, which stood about a quarter of a mile north of the village. Today there's nothing left of this structure.
Jesus. Near this lies the body of Philip Garrett, born at Kingston, Deverill, in the county of Somerset for many years. Inhabited this place. I'm not a religious person. I've never been, but I do like the inside of churches. They're comforting.
If you're here during lunch, afternoon or evening, then a couple of pubs offer food and drink to the weary traveller, and in summer you can sit outside. Walking down the hill to the river, you will pass the old rectory tea room and gift shop. Cream teas are available, but only if you pre-book. With all of our locations, we'll put links in the description to help you. One of the classic and most photographed locations in the village is down on Water Lane and the weavers' cottages that hug the By Brook. Back in the 15th century, weavers were deemed of high status for the felt work they accomplished on the cloth used in soldiers' uniforms. They could therefore pick prime property locations near rivers due to the water they needed as part of the fulling process. This used hot water and agitation to shrink the wool into felted garments. Apparently, one of the properties was home to the Blanket brothers, and it's believed to be the birthplace of the blanket.
No way! I was about to make a joke. Oh, the Blanket brothers, they must have invented the blanket. What do you mean? That's like saying you invented a blanket. That's like saying you invented the shirt. A blanket, is this something that is a British term? A blanket is anything that like you use to cover you that's not a pillow. Inventor of the blanket. Jesus Christ.
Blanket brothers, and it's believed to be the birthplace of the blanket.
The blanket has been around since like hunter-gatherer. What?
Driving the country lanes.
What am I
can
not?
be an
Am I
adventure.
stupid?
Stepping just off the main road, the narrow lanes can.
Jesus Christ. I never get used. I cannot rent a car over there. I will crash. I've seen so many videos and it's still difficult to get used to. I'm like, oh God, it's the left side.
Catch you out with oncoming traffic or locals walking their dogs. So take care and drive slowly, especially if you're used to driving on the other side of the road.
Yes.
The 19th century artist and craftsman William Morris called Byberry the most beautiful village in England when he visited it. The village is known for its 17th century stone cottages with steeply pitched roofs and the famous Arlington Row weavers' cottages, which supplied cloth to the nearby Arlington Mill.
Guys, why do you call rivers like the River Thames? The River Thames, the River Coin, instead of the Coin River? Why do we do that differently?
Parking can be tricky here, with very few spaces in this chocolate box village developed long before the motorcar.
I want to jump in.
The US car manufacturer Henry Ford thought Arlington Row was an icon of England. On a trip to the Cotswolds, he tried to buy the entire row of houses to ship back to Michigan so that he could include them in Greenfield Village Museum.
Leave them where they are. Well, you wanted to put them in a museum.
Luckily for us, his bid was unsuccessful. He did, however, manage to purchase a Rose Cottage in the 1930s from the village of Chedworth, so a small piece of the Cotswolds made its way to America.
At first, I was like, what? Get out of here. But it is kind of nice knowing that he wants to take a piece back because he admires it so much. And that makes it a little bit. And he wants to, like, preserve it or whatnot.
Byberry has provided the backdrop of blockbuster films including Stardust and Bridget Jones' Diary.
All this water is making me thirsty.
Walking in a loop along the pretty paths by the river, Arlington Mill appears. This is now a private residence, but once housed a museum with a collection of period costumes produced by the Arlington weavers that lived in the cottages we just showed you.
I love how everything is so old and it's made of brick that it all just it over time it just blends in to just the surroundings. It feels like everything is part of the surroundings, and a new style building or just a new building in general would. I'm sure even when it was newly built, because of the materials used, it still looked nice. But I love that about it. From the trails to it just everything looks like it belongs there.
This is now a private residence, but once housed a museum with a collection of period costumes produced by the Arlington weavers that lived in the cottages we just showed you. Byberry should definitely not be missed on your Cotswolds tour.
Love all the water.
Burford is a small medieval town in West Oxfordshire and is often referred to as the southern gateway to the Cotswolds as people arrive from the east on the A40 from Oxford. The long sloping high street is a mix of pretty cottages and ancient shops that have changed little since the Tudor times. There are numerous tea rooms, craft stores, pubs and antique shops aplenty to entice you. Don't miss out on the side streets, which have charming, cute stores to view.
The UK is such an amazing place, okay? You guys are really lucky. You guys have so much history, and it's a history that seems like it survived more than a lot of stuff in mainland Europe. Partly, I'm sure, because you've been much more out of the much more is an understatement. You've been way out of the destruction zone when it comes to wars. Most of it being in Europe, and I think maybe a little bit has to do with the preservation of your monarchy, which I think also has to do with what I just mentioned. You guys are very unique, and I've noticed that the more I look at it is, I'm not just trying to butter you up because most of you are British, okay? I mean this. It is such a special place. I suppose Ireland is sort of different, but just the British Isles as a whole, fantastic. I know that seemed really out of left field and very general, but I mean that, okay? Not to say mainland Europe doesn't have a lot of awesome stuff too, imbued with history. Of course it does. Oh, puppy.
The 15th century
Oh, look at him. Hey, buddy.
The 15th century parish church of St. John the Baptist is magnificent and well preserved. Work started back in the 12th century, originally funded by wealthy local farmers and merchants that had been successful in the local wool trade. They believed that making these donations would seal a place in heaven. A lengthy restoration of the church took place in the 1870s. In the local wool trade. They believed that making these donations would seal a place in heaven. A lengthy restoration of the church took place in the 1870s, bringing criticism from William Morris. The vicar at the time responded, "The church, sir, is mine, and if I choose to, I shall stand on my head in it." This inspired William Morris to establish the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings.
Wife to Christopher Kempler.
The elaborate tomb of St. Lawrence Tanfield and his wife can be viewed in the North Chapel. Tanfield was a prominent lawyer and politician who established a country seat in Burford in the 1580s. However, his reputation for corruption and harshness with tenants was remembered long after he died. The church has some beautiful architecture and stained glass windows, and we highly recommend visiting on your walk around Burford. Next time, in part 2 of this video, we visit more stunning villages, a motor museum, the oldest pub in England, and the Folly Tower at Broadway. If you enjoyed part 1, please help us by liking and consider subscribing and clicking that bell so you don't miss next week's episode and our future videos. Until the next time.
That's where I'm going to put all
So
of...
you don't miss next week's episode and our future videos. Until the next time, happy travels from the Memory Seekers.
Curious how much one of these costs. Not that I could afford it, just maybe one day. I'd be very happy. Love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments, and as always, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.